Hey guys, what's up? It's Erin. Today I am back finally with part 3. Sorry, I was sick last week, so I was unable to get this video up, and I wanted to make sure that it had all the information that you guys need to be successful. So the last time in my last video, I mentioned that this part 3 was going to be macros or diet, nutrition, and training plan. Cancel that. We are only doing nutrition and diet plan in this video because when I actually broke it down, I realized there was too much information and I want this to be effective. I want it to work for you. I want these tips to actually be helpful, and I just didn't think I could combine the two and actually make the video useful. So today we are just going to talk about nutrition. So let's get right into it because there's a lot to go over. So for this video, we are going to assume that you're going to be in a calorie deficit for prep. So you're prepping for a show. So in order to know what our caloric intake is, we need to figure that out. And there are formulas that you can do by hand on a piece of paper or on a calculator to figure that out, but there are like a million free websites and apps that you can use to also figure that out. So I've taken the 3 that I've used and that I really like and I trust the most, and we're gonna put some information to those. I'll show you how to use them and we will figure out your macros. So I am going to pop my phone screen up here and you will follow along as we go through these. Okay, so the first one we're going to use is the National Institute of Health's Body Weight Planner. It's by the National Institute of Health. I feel like they're a pretty reputable source. So as you can see on screen here, we have a place to enter in your weight, sex, age, height, and then your physical activity level. And then over here on this side, it actually shows you how to estimate that. So we're gonna go through this. I'm in the US, so I'm gonna use US like units. My current weight is 122. I'm a female. I'm 31, 4'11". So you're just gonna enter in all this information, and then here we have your physical activity level. So I'm gonna scroll over and it says the default value of 1.6 describes someone who does very light activity at school or work, mostly sitting, and moderate physical activity such as walking or cycling at least once a week. So I'm gonna do estimate your level. I'm gonna click that. And then it brings up this thing here at the top of the screen, describe your physical activity at work or at school. I work in a casino, and so I'm constantly on my feet. I average, like, by the end of the day at work, I'm usually at like 17,000 steps. So I'm gonna put moderate. With any of these, when you're entering in your activity, be as honest as you can and actually be a little bit more conservative, because you don't wanna give yourself a lot more credit than you want, or you're gonna end up with calories that just don't match up and you won't be able to lose the weight that you wanna lose. So I'm gonna say moderate, and then it says cleaning, kitchen staff, or delivering mail on foot or by bicycle. So what does light say? Sales or office work? I'm gonna say moderate. Describe your physical activity at leisure time. And then below this, it shows each one. So regular activity at least once a week, walking, bicycling. So that's not me because I work out 5 or 6 times a week, and now I'm adding in some cardio too. Regular activities more than once a week, intense walking, biking, or sports. So I'm just gonna put active. I'm not gonna probably do very active. I always feel like that's for people who train like 3 or 4 hours a day. Strenuous activities several times a week. We're gonna go with active for now and see what it comes up as. So after we figured that out, it says that my physical activity level is 1.9. We'll go to next step. I want to reach my goal in, I'll enter my show date here. My first show date that I am planning on, and we'll see what happens. Oh, goal weight. So I have to enter in my goal weight. So how you're gonna figure this part out is kind of, you need to know your fat-free body mass. So my #1 recommendation is to get a scale that has that. So I have one, it's called the Renfo scale. And then it's an app on your phone, so it syncs to it by Bluetooth, and it tells me what my fat-free body weight is. And then for women, I would say, there are people who say that they get down to 9 or 10%, but from my understanding, that's not usually true from very elite coaches and things like that. Women probably come in at about the 12 to 13 mark. So my weight should be about 110 by stage day based on my fat-free body mass. So I'm gonna put that in. Hit next steps to reach my goal. Change my physical activity by... Okay, so this is where it shows, right? This is what we've been waiting for. To reach your goal of 110 pounds in 86 days, you should eat 1,690 calories a day. So this is super close to actually what I'm doing. I'm at about 1,650 right now. On training days and on not training days, I'm like 1,350 to 1,400. So this is super close. Now, the reason that I have multiples is because I like to double check, because you might get different numbers if you plug them into different apps. So Macros Inc. is another one. I am not going to take you through this one. This one takes a little bit longer. I find that this one kind of gives you some other options. So this one will also help you determine your macros if you're, say, in a bulk, or if you just want to maintain your weight, or if you're in a recomp. So this is a great one for that. They make you enter your email at the end in order to get your macros. And then the last one is the If It Fits My Macros. So I will link all of these down below so that you can just click the link and then you can figure them out as you go. So step 1. I am a woman. I am 31. I'm gonna just skip through this and I'll show you guys the results at the end. Okay, so just kidding. I'm gonna jump back in on this one because I realized that this website is the one that actually takes some time, but it has a lot of really important stuff in it, and it could make a big difference in the calories that you get at the end. So I've already entered in my stats here, same as last time. What is your estimated body fat percent? Mine's about 19 to 20. I'm gonna put it at 20 just to be safe. Moderately active at my job. How experienced are you in physical fitness? I put intermediate. And I also put that I work out at the gym. I do have a home gym, but we have all the equipment that you would find at a gym for the most part. So I'm just gonna keep it like that. Weightlifting frequency. I work out 6 days a week for 60-ish minutes a day. It's usually like 70 or 80. And I'm gonna put, I have moderate. Yeah, I'd say moderate. My cardio is at 3 days per week, 30 minutes per day. So these are all like factors. They actually take into account how many days and how many minutes. And then how fast do you want to lose weight? So I'm keeping with steady and sustainable. And then it also asks you what your nutritional preference is. And I am standard Western. I don't have any like thing that's super that I need to have left out. I don't have any medical diagnosis. What motivates you? I don't know. Some of these are not quite as important. Meal plans and recipes, maybe. How experienced with you tracking? Moderate. I am a personal trainer, but I'll leave that as no. And then here, it's gonna make you enter in your name and email address. Show me my macros. So this says I should be eating 132 grams of protein, 50 grams of fat, 194 grams of carbs, and 1,754 calories. So this one's a bit higher, as you can see. So my last one was 1,690. This one is 1,754. So that's 60 calorie difference. My carbs are not that high. My body functions better on lower carbs. Like I just respond better. And this is kind of what you'll have to figure out on your own. So these are the 3 different sites I use. I encourage you to use at least 2 and then kind of maybe average them and go with the average and try that. So your next step in this is to do this for a full week. I want you to take at least 1, preferably 2, especially if you haven't been dieting, because you're gonna lose some water weight initially. You need to go for 2 weeks, and I want you to track absolutely everything you eat. And that means having a scale. I will drop a link to an Amazon, like a food scale down below that I use. I really like it. If you don't have one, you can get one on Amazon. You can get one at Walmart too. So it doesn't matter what scale you use, but you need to have a scale. We're not measuring by cups. We are measuring in grams and we are measuring in ounces. So track everything you eat for 2 weeks on an app like MyFitnessPal, and try to keep it in this calorie range that they give you along with your macros. And if they give you a specific macro, maybe just try that to begin with, and then see where you're at in 2 weeks. On average, unless you have a lot of weight to lose, if you have like 40 plus pounds to lose, this number isn't maybe as accurate, but you should be losing 1 to 2 pounds per week. If you're losing faster than that, you need to add some calories back in and try to slow it down a little, because otherwise you're also it means that your body's probably in a catabolic state, meaning that you could be also taking away muscle, which is obviously important for bodybuilding. So at the end of that 2 weeks, you can make any adjustments you need. So if you need to increase calories, or maybe you didn't lose and it was wrong, and this can happen if, say, you've been on a super, super low calorie diet for a long time, or been like a cardio bunny for forever, and you're switching to weights, your progress might stall at the beginning, and you might need to start working to actually increase your calories. If you're already at 1200 and you're not losing weight, you do not want to keep dropping below that. With that being said, there are some other considerations to take in here. So you don't want to overdo or underdo any of your macros. All macros are important, including carbs. Carbs are important. Your most important is definitely protein. A lot of these are going to give you close to 1 gram per pound of body weight that you have, if not maybe a little more. Like that one said 132, I weigh 122. So that's only 10 grams more protein than what I weigh, right? For bodybuilding, when you are lifting, when you are in a, when you're dieting and in a deficit, the more protein you have, the less muscle you're going to lose. So I try to aim for 1.5 grams of protein per pound of weight that I'm carrying. So right now I'm at like 170-ish per day. And then I fill the rest of my day, the rest of my calories with carbs and fats. So to figure that out, protein has 4 calories per gram. Carbs have 4 calories per gram, and fat has 9 calories per gram. So once you figure out your protein, so like 170 times 4, I don't know what that is. It's 680. So 680 of my daily calories come from protein, and then I fill in the remainder of my about 1,000 calories with carbs and fats, and I distribute those depending on how my body reacts. Again, my body reacts a little bit better with lesser carbs and a more moderate fat. But again, both those are important. Do not drop your fat all the way off. Fat helps you absorb vitamins, it helps regulate your hormones, it protects your organs, it's super important for your brain. So you need those things. Do not try to drop any of them off completely. You'll just need some time to play around. After you figure out your protein, you can kind of move your carbs around and move your fats around to see what works best for your body. Another big thing that you're going to want to consider here is whether you want to be on a strict meal plan or whether you want to go with the more flexible macro approach. So once you have your calories and your macros, you can go 2 ways. So you can go the meal plan way, and you can set up a meal plan that you're going to follow for, say, 4 weeks straight. And every day, no matter what, you're going to eat the same thing at the same time for those same meals. Now, there are pros and cons to this. The pros are that it's easy to figure out. You don't have to think about what you're going to eat. Your shopping list is always the same. You just know what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat it. And so there's really no room for like error, but this also is going to be, it's going to get boring, and routine can get, you know, like monotonous. You're not going to have a lot of like flexibility in what you're eating. So if you feel like you're somebody who needs like that little bit of flexibility, you might want to look at the macro side. But if you like routine and you like structure and you like ease, then having just a strict meal plan, just figuring out what fits. So like start plugging in foods that you want to eat until you get to those macros and your calories. And then there you go. For 4 weeks, you know exactly what you're going to eat every day. The other side of that is macros. And my biggest thing with macros is that it allows you a little bit of flexibility. So like for me, I do, for now, for the time being, I am doing a macro-based plan. So I just need to hit my macros every day. It doesn't really matter how I get there. I mean, I definitely set some sort of grounds for myself. Like I try not to eat a bunch of processed food. I try to make the majority of my food come from whole sources and that aren't pre-processed. But for the most part, it does allow me some wiggle room. So like there are days that I really want something sweet, and I'll put in like a caramel rice cake with a little bit of peanut butter and then like some sugar-free chocolate chips on top. And like that for me is like, it's huge, and it alleviates so much stress for me. My husband is the opposite. He likes structure and routine, and he doesn't want to have the thought of being able to just like eat what he wants. So I would say macros requires a little bit more discipline, because you have to still abide by your macros, but there's no like real black and white lines of what you can and can't eat. There's a lot of gray area, and you have to be the one to be like, okay, I need to eat this much protein at this meal, which means I can't just sit down and eat a Pop-Tart or cookies or something, even though I have enough carbs to allow that, right? So you'll have to figure that out for yourself. That's a very personal decision. finally, I told you guys this was gonna be a long video. It is time for my just top tips for success with nutrition and meal planning. So my number one thing, like going back to the beginning of this video, is going to be do not drop your calories too fast. I've seen so many horror stories of competitors, especially women competitors, who want to lose really fast. So they feel like they should be making a lot more progress, or they want to do this 8-week prep. And so they feel like they need to lose 20 pounds in 8 weeks. And in order to do that, they will drop their calories from their maintenance at like 2,400 down to 1,100 calories. And you are going to be miserable and tired and hungry. And it wreaks havoc on your body nonetheless. Your hormones, as a woman especially, it affects your hormones. It's going to affect your hair, your skin. It just starts having all these negative effects on you when you drop your calories that low. So unless it's absolutely necessary, and there are times in prep where your calories will get low, but it should only be for a very small amount of time. And until then, you should be gradually decreasing. So trust the process, keep taking measurements, keep taking pictures, follow the plan, and gradually reduce your calories. If you are macro based and you're not gonna go with the structured meal plan, my number one tip, I do this every day, is in the morning, I sit down with my cup of coffee that I do have sugar-free creamer in because I'm macro based and I need my sugar-free creamer. I sit down and I go into my Fitness Pal and I enter in absolutely everything I'm gonna eat for the day. And then I can kind of work things around. So if I get to the end and I realize I have too many carbs at lunch, I can reduce like my rice portion or whatever it is. Or if I end up at the end of the day and I need more protein, I can add it in. So pre-plan your day if you're gonna be macro, and it will help tremendously, and it eases a lot of the stress. Some little things as far as like what your diet is consisting of. A lot of people ask me like, what are my protein sources? So I try to stick with whole foods. So I eat a lot of chicken, I eat a lot of lean ground turkey, egg whites, I do low fat cheeses, or even fat-free cheese. I found fat-free cheese at Walmart. It's actually really good. Cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, deli meat, and obviously then I also occasionally will have a protein bar. I have protein powder, and then pre-made protein shakes. And if you are looking for protein, this is a shameless plug, but I did just become a Redcon ambassador. I love their protein powder. They have a Dutch apple pie and a banana nut bread that are like amazing. They go so good in oatmeal or even just in a shake, but they go amazing in oatmeal. So I will plug that link down below if you want to support me. But those are some really good protein sources. As far as things like veggies, I was buying tons and tons of fresh stuff and going to the store like 3 times a week, but I've started I just buy frozen bagged like broccoli, or if you like peas or whatever sort of green vegetables you can have, like buy them frozen, except asparagus. Don't buy frozen asparagus. It's really gross. Lastly, the last thing I want to talk about is refeeds. I've had people ask me about this, like how often do you refeed? Like how do you do it? My last prep was horrendous. I had like no structure, and so I just ended up doing refeeds as like I wanted. I'd be like a Friday and I'd be like, oh yeah, let's go out to eat and we'll just call it a refeed. That is not a refeed. That's a full-blown cheat meal. Refeeds should be completely structured. They should be pre-planned in advance. You should know what you're gonna go eat. And it should have some decent amount of nutrition. So like for me, it's usually like a Philly cheesesteak sandwich with sweet potato fries, or like a cheeseburger with sweet potato fries. And yes, it's high in fat. It has more calories than I can normally have. It's processed, it's from a restaurant, all those things. But here and there, you're going to need refeed meals as your body becomes depleted. And you have to have trial and error with these, because there's really no other way to figure it out. You're gonna go through like your training and your diet, and you'll realize you're gonna get really tired. And you might start to feel like hungry day in and day out and have like crazy cravings. And this is kind of like when you know, like, ooh, like I can't lift as heavy, or my workouts are like, by the 30-minute mark, I'm exhausted and I can't lift what I normally do. That's when you know that you might need a refeed. A refeed meal is one meal. It is not a whole day. I highly recommend that you go out to eat so that it's not at home. You do not get a to-go box. And then you come back home and you go right back to your regular scheduled meal planning. So for me, it's usually my last meal of the day. That way I don't feel this like, oh, I went out and had all these treats and now I come home and get to have treats. So it's usually like my last meal. And then I just come home and I get right back on plan the next day. So those are my tips for success. I am going to be doing a video. After I ran through my tips, I was thinking about all the things I could tell you. So in the future, after we get through like training and some other stuff, I'm going to come back to like some tips for success, my top like tips and hacks during prep, and we will go through those. So I know this has been a long video. I hope it's been helpful and that you've gained something from it. And remember, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below or write me on Instagram. I do try to get back to people. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being patient, and I will see you guys next week with a video on setting up a training plan.